All right, Raider Nation, let's have a real conversation. For the first time in a long time, there's a serious debate to be had. Who is actually the best player on this Las Vegas Raiders team? And I'm not talking about just throwing names. Around. I mean really diving into this new look roster from top to bottom and figuring out which player truly deserves to be called the best. Because with all the changes that have happened, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players, this ain't the same old Raiders. This is a completely reshaped squad, and it finally feels like there's a vision behind the rebuild. So here's what I did. I took the entire roster and ranked every single player from 91 all the way up to number 1. Yeah, that's right. Worst to first. And I didn't do it just for the clicks. I did it because one of our longtime supporters asked me to. And I thought, you know what? This is actually a great time to reset the conversation around the Raiders. Because with so many new faces on key names stepping into new roles, the hierarchy within the team isn't as clear-cut as it used to be. So let's break this all the way down. Now, before anyone loses their mind over the list, let me lay out how I built this ranking. First, I looked at each player's overall impact on the team. Not just how good they are individually, but how their play translates to wins and losses. Then I factored in the positional importance within the NFL. Like, how valuable is a top-tier player at their specific position compared to other players at the same spot across the league. And finally, I projected their 2025 performance, assuming they're fully healthy. That last part, yeah, is definitely in there for guys like Christian Wilkins. I'm not gonna lie about it. Transparency is the name of the game here. So with that out of the way, let's start working through the list. And man, going through numbers 91 to 82, it becomes obvious real quick who's on the bubble. Number 91, for example, Carter Bradley at quarterback. He's a UDFA, and if we're being honest, he probably won't make the final roster. But I still had to rank him. Same with a lot of these guys. There's not a ton separating some of the bottom tier names, but I still evaluated them based on position value, pre-draft grades, and what I've seen or heard from camp. Then there's the case of Lockie Tossie, the international pathway player who flipped from defensive tackle to offensive lineman. Easily one of the toughest guys to evaluate just because of how new he is to the position. Still, I wouldn't be shocked if he makes the team, especially since the Raiders love developmental projects. And speaking of sneaky names, keep an eye on Tank Booker. He's got that grit on the interior that this regime seems to appreciate. As we move up from 81 to 72, the name Sakar Hari Franklin stands out. Another UDFA who's been turning heads. Not the fastest guy by any means, but his toughness and ability to fight through contact. That's something coaches love. I've even heard from a few sources that he impressed during the off-season workouts. So while he might be a long shot, he's the kind of player who can sneak onto the roster with a strong camp. From 67 to 71, we get into the Colin Johnsons and Dylan Lewis of the world. Players with some potential, but who haven't really convinced me yet. Mello Dodson, though, that's one I like. UDFA, yes, but it had one of the more impressive off-seasons. He's another one of those young guys I'm circling during camp to see if he forces the staff to make a tough decision. And then there's the 57 to 61 range. Guys like Chris Smith and Andre Carter, names we've seen before, but who are now in that make-or-break territory. Chris Smith in particular, this might be his last shot. He needs to show something in camp, or he's probably gone. Jalen Smith. At linebacker also made a cut. He was brought in during rookie minicamp and could stick if they want to keep a younger option behind the vets. Once we get into the 50s, that's where the roster battles start heating up. Zama White was on the edge of my top 53. I actually slotted long snapper Jacob Bobia at 53 just because I knew he'd be on the final roster. And let's be honest, where do you even rank a long snapper? Still, White's a guy that can earn a role depending on how the running back room shakes out. Now Quadir Ishmael, this is a player that has me intrigued. 6'6", 215 pounds, and there's chatter about him potentially being used as a hybrid tight end wide receiver. That's big because Chip Kelly loves using multiple tight end sets, and there are already whispers that Raiders might keep an extra body at that spot. So if Ishmael proves himself in camp, don't be surprised if he grabs that last tight end role. As we move up into the 40s, we see more draft picks and second-year guys. Players like Caleb Rogers and J.J. Piggins, who are clearly part of the long-term plan, but still need development. Aiden O'Connell also pops up here. He's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the NFL, and the coaching staff seems to have confidence in him. That said, he's still behind Geno Smith for now. One guy I do want to highlight here is Cameron Richardson. He got a lot of praise before training camp, and even drew some good feedback from guys like Dante Thornton Jr. That's the kind of noise that matters because it tells you the coaching staff is noticing. And that's how guys move up these rankings, by getting noticed. Into the 30s now, and this is where it gets interesting. Lonnie Johnson Jr., Amari Gaynor, Cody Lindenberg. These are players that will make their mark on special teams and rotational units. But if there's one name to circle here, it's Gaynor. He's been buzzing in camp for his coverage skills, which is something this team really needs at the linebacker position. If he keeps flashing, don't be surprised if he plays real snaps this year. From 27 to 31, I bumped Tonka Hemingway up a bit. I just like his motor and think he's going to get some chances to prove himself. Thomas Harper is another guy I thought about ranking higher. Honestly, I had to stop myself from putting him above Raheem Mostert and Lucky Photo. But Harper's going to have opportunities. If he hits in camp, his stock could rise fast. Now, let's talk about the top 26. This is where we separate the potential from the production. Rookies like Dante Thornton Jr. and Jack Beck start this tier. And yeah, I put Beck slightly ahead. Why? Because I think he's in a better spot to succeed early. Teams love to give their draft picks a shot, and that usually means more reps, better situations, and a longer leash. Daniel Carlson is next, and yes, he's a kicker, but he's also elite at what he does. Consistency, accuracy. He's one of the best in the league and a true weapon when it comes to close games. Then there's Isaiah Pola-Mao and Ellendon Roberts, guys who round out this tier with veteran experience and physicality. Moving into the top 21, Tyree Wilson is the name to watch. This is a make or break year for him. The staff wants him to take that leap in year 3, and Rob Leonard is going to push him to do it. Then there's Dylan Parham, a versatile offensive lineman who can plug into multiple positions. That kind of flexibility is huge in today's NFL, and that's why he lands at number 20. At 19, I've got Jacorian Bennett, the team's best corner from last year. The only reason he's not higher is because of some concerns about his health. If he's fully ready to go, he's a starting caliber corner. But until we get that confirmation, I had to hedge a bit. Right ahead of him is Darian Porter, a third rounder with serious upside. I expect him to be in the starting mix come week K. 1. Michael Mayer shows up at 17. I think he's going to thrive under Chip Kelly's system. They want to feature tight ends, and Mayer entering year 3 is primed for a breakout. Eric Stokes lands at 16. The Raiders are betting big on him. He's a former first rounder with a ton of potential. If Pete Carroll can unlock that, the Raiders might have stolen a true number 1 corner. Trey Tucker comes in at 15. He's shown flashes, and this year could be his breakout. He's got that third-year pop that teams love to see. DJ Glaze is at 14. Look, the team passed on some big-name offensive tackles in the draft, and that tells me they believe in Glaze. He's physical, nasty, and plays with that edge this regime is building around. 13, I've got Jermaine Pratt. He's the best linebacker on this team and a clear leader on the defensive side of the ball. I expect him to be near the top in total snaps and tackles this season. This is where the rankings start to reflect not just performance, but identity. The Raiders want to be tougher, faster, and more physical. And these top players, they embody that. But we still got 12 names to go. And I'll tell you this, if you're a player and you didn't make this top dozen, maybe it's time to turn some heads in camp, make some noise, and earn your way up. Because the next tier, that's where the real difference makers are. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be one of the most surprising offseason developments yet, whispers around the league suggest a potential blockbuster deal brewing between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Miami Dolphins. Multiple sources have hinted that tight end Michael Mayer could be on his way to South Beach, and in return, edge rusher JAYLEN Phillips may be heading to Sin City. Nothing has been confirmed by either franchise, and for now, it's all smoke and speculation. But where there's smoke, there's often fire. According to insiders close to the situation, both teams have held preliminary talks in recent weeks, and this package deal, though complex, has gained internal traction. MAYER, drafted by the Raiders in 2023, was expected to be a long-term solution at tight end. He showed promise in his rookie season, but his usage fluctuated, particularly under new offensive schemes. Some believe the Raiders are quietly shifting their philosophy. On offense, MAYER could be an unfortunate casualty of that evolution. A move to Miami would give him a fresh start in a system that favors dynamic, pass-catching tight ends, a role he could flourish in. On the flip side, PHILLIPS is a former first-rounder who, despite battling injuries, has flashed elite edge rushing potential in Miami. The Dolphins have invested heavily in their defensive line over the years, and with recent cap constraints, they may be looking to retool their roster, then free up resources. Sending Phillips to Vegas could align with their long-term planning, especially with a potential contract extension looming. Adding intrigue to the whispers are reports that both teams have been unusually active in trade discussions this month. While general managers are tight-lipped, the idea of swapping two young high-upside players in different positions is the kind of bold move that can reshape a roster overnight. Is it just hot air? Or are we on the verge of one of the most unexpected trades of the summer? If the buzz around the league is any indication, something is definitely in the works. And it just might send shockwaves through both fan bases. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.